If you're going to defend the pass in Madden 20, you have to have an answer for escape artist quarterbacks. Not only in containing the yards they gain on scrambling, but by limiting the time they have running around in the backfield, waiting for a receiver to get open. In this video, we'll go over a few things that you can do to contain escape artist quarterbacks so that you don't have to blitz 7 or 8 just to defend the pass. Although most of these concepts can be applied to just about any formation, they seem to work best with the Big Dime 236. So let's get started with the Contain Swap Escape Artist defense. So like I was saying, if you're not prepared to defend these escape artist quarterbacks, not only are you going to allow yards in the run game where the guy will simply just take off and get 10, 20, 30 yards just of the quarterback and then slide when a tackle comes in, but it also opens up certain route combinations. Maybe not this one per se, but this is just for an example, these corner routes from compression that generally take a little bit of time to develop, and it's actually a pretty long throw if you're throwing from the pocket. But if you're able to escape out to the to the wide side there, not only do you buy yourself a little bit of time, but you also get a better angle and a shorter distance on the throw to make that throw a little bit easier. So right here, just a pretty stock Tampa 2 here. Simply, you just escape with that, and then you have all this space over here to throw to your tight end and get big chunks of yards against Tampa 2, cover 3, other things like that. Now we know from one of the previous videos that I did recently that cover 4 palms does a great job of defending corner routes, especially from compression. So even if you're not really set up to defend that escape artist quarterback, it's a great coverage to run because there's really nowhere they can throw the ball there. With that being said, they still have a lot of time in the pocket, so if they go ahead and do that exact same thing, they'll see that it's not open, but they can simply just scramble up the field and get a number of yards that way. So one of the first things that you'd think to do, one of the most simplest things, is just simply putting one of your defensive linemen on a spy. So, the 49ers have 2 pretty quick guys in Bosa here and Ford. If I go ahead and put them on a spy, you still have, 3, pass rushers here, plus you got the spy that's going to come after the quarterback. So this is going to limit the possibility of scrambling upwards, for a gain with just the quarterback's feet. Assuming that guy's fast. If he's just a regular defensive tackle, he's going to get burnt. But if he's a speedy defensive end that you plug in there, he's going to do a good job. With that being said, though, you're still going to be able to buy a lot of time to do throws like this. So it's not all about containing the rush, but also containing the pass. Now, contains themselves, just using your defensive end contain assignment here, get a lot of hate because there's kind of a few different ways that you can glitch around them. But just stock, they actually do a really good job. So just stock here, no special adjustments on offense. If I'm trying to do the exact same thing, especially if that defensive end's coming from a wide position, he does a really good job. But with the new double team feature that was introduced partway through this year, there's a lot of ways that we can get around that. So simply if we just double team that defensive end, even though it doesn't really make sense because he still has outside leverage from the guard and the tackle that are going to double team on him, it still does a good job of containing the container so you can easily slip outside that and do the same thing that I was just showing you. So that's one way of glitching around it that makes people really frustrated with them. And the other thing is the halfback chop block. So if you're putting the halfback in a blocking assignment, you double team the interior lineman to the side you're rolling out on, and then you ID the mic on the defensive end and then slide away to really guarantee that you're getting a double team with the guard and the tackle on the interior guy, and then the running back will chop block on that defensive end. Not only that, but the contain assignment gets kind of warped inside. So you're able to escape really easily. Now that's an issue that I really hope goes away next year, how effective the running backs are at blocking. But right now you can't really deal with that. So it'll be just like this. Running back will chop that guy, and then you'll have all this space. I could just go ahead and run this here, or I can throw this for even more yards. You can really take your pick in that situation. Now you can contain on defense and add a quarterback spy here, but that really doesn't change anything from what I showed you before. So it'd be just the same thing here, where the end will get chopped, and then the spy, I can either outrun him or I can just wait and throw that either way. So it's not about containing the run necessarily, more so containing the pass. So finally, the actual tip of this video. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna call it a contain swap. So we're gonna get a contain from our interior lineman that we can't necessarily double as well on the offense, and we can't chop block him as well. So this is something that I was originally doing out of nickel wide 9, but just seeing some comments in one of my last videos of Big Dime 236, I actually went ahead and checked it in this, and it seems to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit better out of this formation. So all you would essentially do is spread your line. So your only linemen really are your interior guys. So what you get now is essentially a wide nine, a nickel wide nine approach. I think the defensive ends or the outside linebackers are a little bit squished in compared to the wide nine, but you have the same three technique as double three technique here that allow you to get contains from your interior guys. So we're gonna go ahead and contain, and we will spy the guy that our opponent is rolling out to. So just like this. So I have a spy on the right side, and then I have an interior contain. You could also, I found that I'm not sure if it works better, but I just do it anyway, is that you would, before doing all that, is just slant outside, then contain. I feel like the contain guy gets a little bit of a better edge to the outside, but I'm not too sure. So in this case, I've went ahead and set it up. I'll just show you how it works. So just like this, nobody gets chopped, and this guy's over here able to contain me so I can't roll out and throw that corner route. So just a quick replay, we are trying to chop the defensive end, but he goes back into a spy, so there's nothing to do there. And then the defensive tackle, the three technique, does a good job of going outside, where the double team really doesn't do a good job of double teaming him. And so he's able to disengage immediately and run the quarterback down. So this allows you to get at the quarterback so he doesn't have time to roll out and hit that corner route or any of the other routes on the field. Plus, it pretty much denies him from scrambling for yards altogether. And even if he's somehow able to get around him, you have the secondary spy there ready to clean things up. So then before we go further, I just want to talk about personnel. Obviously, speed is always going to be great. So here, essentially, I'd be getting really speedy outside linebackers or really speedy defensive ends right here and right here. And then inside here, I'd be getting really fast defensive ends again. And I would actually put a lot of your abilities on these guys. So what's going to end up happening is that you're going to have something like this, where you're going to have a spy, two guys in a contain, and one guy rushing the passer. But if you know that if you put the pass rushing abilities on these guys, like finesse specialist, power specialist, whatever, they're going to be able to split double teams really quickly. So even though you have really just one guy rushing the pass, he's going to be really, really effective. Again, this is really something you're only going to be throwing out to guys that are, serial escape guys that are going to be scrambling. So then you're going to be getting most of your sacks outside of the pocket. But if for whatever reason they stay in the pocket, you're going to have a good ability there. The other thing is, since they have their abilities anyway, I'd stack on the inside stuff, run stuffing abilities as well, just in case they do throw an inside zone at you or something like that. You're going to be much more prepared for that. And then just to cover our basis, we want to just check to see how it works with other blocking assignments. So here, we're not doing the chop or anything, just a regular block. And the contain is still going to be really, really nice here. So even right when I try to escape, D4 is going to be there for the sack. And then me as the scrambling quarterback, what if I see on that side that I'm not able to escape to that side? And then for that, I try to escape on the left side, but I have a nice working contain on that side as well. So you can't really escape either way. And then if you want to be really crazy, if you're coming up against somebody that's possibly chopping right or possibly chopping left, like if you're not able to predict which side they want to go to, you can actually set it up on both sides. That's what's really good about this formation, is that it's symmetrical for the defensive line. So you could really set it up this way, and then if you're afraid of getting the pancake blocks on a possible inside zone, you can just put your guy on a blitz. Or if you want, you can just blitz one of these guys anyway. It's up to you. Make sure you have at least 3 on there. But just putting this back the way it is, if they do decide to roll out this way, you're going to get the exact same thing, where that defensive tackle is coming around for the sack. And you don't even necessarily need to put that end on a spy. Like, you can put him in coverage. You can put him on a hard flat or maybe man coverage, because that is going to be a speedy outside linebacker for you. You can kind of do whatever you want. The only thing is that if your opponent is showing that they can scramble through the middle, in that case, maybe you would want to spy, because otherwise they can scramble through the middle just like that. So something to keep in mind. So that's pretty much the contain swap defense. It's been working really, really well for me, and I know it's going to work great for you guys as well. If you want to change it up a little bit, keep your opponent guessing a little bit, though, It's not necessarily super important because the contain swap is great, but if you want to change it up, there's some interesting things that you can do, particularly with the big dime 2-3-6. This is one of the only formations that I know of that you can take a defensive lineman and move him back manually, and he won't move back on his own once you click off of him. So you can get kind of these crazy alignments, and you can do it to both sides as well if you don't know which side they're rolling out to. And in this case, I actually wouldn't even contain. The regular blitz angle actually does a little bit better here. And I set up the same thing where I'm doubling the interior guy and say I mic him and try to chop him. Well, I can't really do that, and I try to escape, and he gets a good angle on me. You can do that as well. That's really, really nice. So really the only time that I really do this, other than just to switch things up for the hell of it, is when I'm coming up against somebody that isn't a serial escape artist. So somebody that might stay in the pocket sometimes and hit their passes from there. So I would move out these outside linebackers from depth, and then I would spy one of these interior guys in case I do get a late scramble. So that in that case, I would still have the nice contain angles, even though I'm not technically containing, but I would also have 3 pass rushers rather than just the 1. So that's a plus in that case, though I don't think it contains nearly as well as the contain swap that I showed earlier. The other thing that you can do if you want a little bit more speed on that contain is get these defensive backs. So you can swap it, so now the outside linebacker is in zone, and this just messes with their reads a little bit more, and you can pick whatever zone you want for them: curl flat, a hook, man coverage, whatever. You can make things look the same that they are. Again, if you're coming from depth, do not use the contain. Use the regular blitz assignment. It's going to work much better for you. But otherwise, if I do the same thing, where I'm double teaming the interior guy and then IDing the end, well, the end's not actually coming in. It's going to be the corner there, and the corner has a little bit more speed to kind of track him back there. So that's it. A couple last things I want to say. If you are going to do the big dime, if you're coming up against sets like trips or something like that, because now you're taking out a linebacker and you're putting in a defensive back, by default, in default alignments, they never line up in the box. So what you can usually do is just man align, and that guy will come across. Against bunch, the alignment is still kind of funky, so what I would do is I would just move in one of the guys back. So I'd move this 3-rec back. So now you have a regular 6-man box, and then the overhang over here on the trip side. So it's a little bit more, a little bit better that way. Now, I understand this guy is much lighter than a linebacker, so who knows? I don't know how much effect that actually has in the run game, but what you can do is you can actually sub in a safety. By default, I think this is a cornerback, and you can actually sub in a linebacker as well. So this can be a nickel package for you if you want, though you might as well take advantage of the dime, because if you're running around with a cornerback here rather than a linebacker, you're much faster. First of all, can change directions much quicker, and then you get those better animations. Because it's not like a nickel package where you're subbing in a safety and he still gets those animation penalties that a linebacker does. This is actual defensive back. So you can put in your Calvin Johnson here, you can put in that cornerback Mike Evans here, and you can just run around like crazy, be an idiot, and go have your 90 speed, 6'5" wide receiver lurking underneath all these routes and getting those crazy spectacular catch animations. But anyway, that's just in addition to all this already good with this formation. Hope you guys like this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.